Good evening, everyone. We'd like to thank you for joining us for our Monday, April 12th, 2021 Fayetteville City Council meeting. We'd like to welcome those who are joining us remotely. Ms. Ayers, do we have any council members joining us by Zoom?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, council, at this time, we will ask that we would all stand for the invocation. Anyone would like to render the prayer? You got it? All right. So at the conclusion of the invocation, if we could all repeat the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us, for giving us another opportunity to come together to do the will of the people. God, we pray that you would bring our hearts and minds subject to your divine will, that you would allow us to come together in reason, and that we might serve this community, this great community you've given us the opportunity to submit ourselves to. God, right now we thank you for all those leaders and those who serve in this nation, all around this world. Continue to protect us as we live this life that you've blessed us to have. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Davis, for the prayer. At this time, council, we have COVID-19 update. Mr. Scott Bullard, how are you, sir?
Well, sir. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Somebody asked me in the hallway, what's today? Well, today's 393. We're still counting. But don't let that put anybody off or break your patience, because as we said when we gathered 393 days ago, that we were in for the long haul, and this was not going to be something that would pass quickly. But there are things to celebrate. I mean, we've got school children now, all the grades going back in the county school system, which is a huge step towards recovery and literally reopening. Something that was repeated today that has been said before, but I think has been formalized. There are a number of universities, Duke University being one of the 6 today, who are going to require their students in the fall to be vaccinated in order to return to school. So that's something that we'll watch and study, because you've also heard me say that there's a bit of a social experiment going on, and a lot of it is playing out, not only in the elementary schools and high schools, but at the university level. So we'll watch that as things transition, and we'll reach a point too to where eventually the vaccine will probably go below the 18 and 16-year-old group that it's intended for now. A word of caution on the horizon, and I invite you all to help me reach out to your constituents, that if you have an appointment, please don't break it, or if you must break it, get it canceled, because there's a lot of trouble nationwide with people not keeping their vaccination appointments, and we don't want to waste vaccine, especially the refrigerated portions, and they want to do tight planning on that. Still, to some point, we're in a situation where the more you use, the more you get, so there's a bit of gamemanship to that end. Also, just a note of caution where we're watching too. We're almost all the way out from Easter, where we anticipated a little bump. It hadn't been that dramatic here, but you need only look around the nation. For instance, look at Michigan. Michigan's having a lot of trouble right now. They want to lock back down. So I applaud our citizens for being diligent and sticking to it, and I'll be subject to any questions you have.
All right, Mr. Bullock, do you have a question? Councilmember Wright.
Yes, Mr. Bullock, just wanted to get some information for clarity. So the Johnson & Johnson, what percentage do they put on the Johnson & Johnson?
I have no clue. That's just one more that's been thrown in the mix, and
Okay, but that's fine. Do you know where people can get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine shot, because it's like a one-shot done?
right. Some of it is advertised up front. I'll give you an example. The clinic that Fayetteville State's running, I can't quote you the dates and the time, but it's pretty much all the days of the week. They have a short day. I want to say that's on Thursday. That is primarily the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but to some extent, this is what you just give out what you get among some of the recipients that run these clinics. So it's not always consistently the same vaccine. And they don't always consistently advertise ahead of time that that's what it's going to be.
So we heard that they're giving shots at Cape Fear Valley to the public, and people can just walk in and get the shot?
I think you have to go to their website and get that appointment.
Okay.
One of the things that the state has been asking for people to look at is on myspotnc.gov on their website, there's an interactive map. So if you put your zip code in,
Okay.
it automatically pulls up, and it'll surprise you. Something when you all are sitting at your browser, try that, and you'll see how many places. It
Great.
just makes Fayetteville pop up like a bunch of flowers.
Can you give that email again?
Yes, sir. That is at myspot.nc.gov, and there'll be an icon on there that talks about their map.
Thank you.
Mr. Bullitt, I have Mr. Jensen, and then Dr. Green, I'll get you to come up when we talk next, and maybe you can fill in some of the blanks if we didn't catch it. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I don't know if this is the right time, but I kind of wanted to answer Councilmember Wright's question. On April 14th and April 16th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Cape Fear Valley Rehab Center, Cape Fear Valley Health, in partnership with the Fayetteville Millennial Council, will be giving out 1,200 doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and it's the first come, first served basis. Thank you.
Okay, I knew we'd find your answer, sir. All right, any other questions for Mr. Bullitt? Well, Mr. Bullitt, as always, we appreciate you, your efforts. 392 days.
393.
393. All right, thank you, sir. All right, this time, council, we will, you ready? Okay. Ask that Dr. Green, who's here, is perfect segue into her conversation. So we've got to pluck your brain on some of your perspective of COVID-19, and then we have something for you for the service for our community. So I'll come down with my mask to talk to you after that. Okay. But tell us how, if you can give us an update on how we're doing as a county. I know Mr. Bullitt hit some specific areas, but where are the other areas that you may see?
So I think he hit it right on the head there. We are continuing to vaccinate throughout the community. There are more than 15 different vaccination providers, so that's a positive thing. He mentioned the clinics at Fayetteville State, so they are providing Johnson & Johnson, and I believe they're doing that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. The hospital is continuing to vaccinate, and I saw a press release from them today that talked about a little bit about the drop-off in demand for vaccine, and we certainly are seeing the same in previous groups with our older adults and those with underlying health conditions. We would see a big demand for vaccine when a new group opened. We aren't seeing that same level of demand when we moved last Wednesday to everybody. So we, for example, still have appointment slots open for tomorrow. So we want every appointment slot filled, and we don't want to leave any appointments open. So we want to push vaccine, especially among our young people. We are seeing pretty good vaccination rates among our older adults, but would really like to see more of our 16, 17, and our college students vaccinated. We're partnering with Fayetteville Tech to provide some Johnson & Johnson to their students next week. We were at the Cumberland County Detention Center today providing some vaccine to the detainees and staff. And then we'll be back this Thursday at Operation Inasmuch, providing second doses of Pfizer that we did a couple weeks ago, and then some additional J&J first doses this Thursday. So a lot of moving parts going on in our community, and I'll echo what Scott said. Other places around the country have seen this increase in cases. We've seen just a little uptick in cases, not like some of our Midwestern partner or Midwest states, but that for me reminds us that we are, as Scott says, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. 393 It's been a long road, that this is not over yet. We still need to continue to have those measures in place so that we don't have that dramatic increase after, like we've seen in some other states. So lots of positive things going on, but still want to be cautious. We know that in our state we have COVID-19 variants, and for me, this is a bit like outpacing those variants. We want to make sure that we are getting people vaccinated as quickly as we can, so that we are getting more people vaccinated before those variants become widespread in our state. So lots of good news, but still quite a bit of work to be done. And thank you to Scott and his team for their ongoing partnership with us. We definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Green. We have a proclamation for you, and I'm going to read it, that the mayor is going to present to you, and we want to thank you for all your hard work. Whereas our nation has experienced one of the worst pandemics in the history as a result of the coronavirus, and whereas those who have chosen the healthcare profession as their calling serve the communities with the reverence of human life and individual dignity. And whereas physicians, nurses, health aides, and EMTs and other workers of healthcare are dedicated to relieving pain and suffering. And whereas administrative staff, maintenance staff, and janitorial staff have been working along healthcare workers to meet the needs during the turbulent time of our nation. And whereas the tremendous efforts of their commitment to quality care and patient safety to all of the staff of Cape Fear Hospital and clinics. I think I'm reading the wrong one. I think I am. I'm sorry. But I'm going to own it. And I apologize. Okay. So we are going to talk about American Public Health Association. I am so sorry, Dr. Green. I just wanted you to stay up there and soak in the moment a little bit more.
That was great too, That was good.
Whereas since 1995, the American Public Health Association, through its sponsorship of National Public Health Week, has educated the public, policymakers, and public health professionals about issues important to improving the public's health. And whereas our nation is experiencing one of the worst pandemics in history as a result of the coronavirus, and whereas making communities as safe and healthy is public health's top priority, and whereas public health strengthens and supports the foundation of our community, and whereas public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of full range of health threats, including disease outbreaks such as COVID-19 pandemic, measles, natural disasters, and disasters caused by human activity. Whereas the theme of Public Health Week is building bridges to better health, and will focus on rebuilding, advancing racial equality, strengthening community, galvanizing climate justice, and constructing COVID-19 resistance. And whereas the public health action, together with scientific and technological advances, has played a major role in reducing and in some cases eliminating the spread of infectious disease, and is establishing today's disease surveillance with control systems. And whereas the heroic efforts, community spirit, care for fellow residents, and dedication provided during this pandemic demonstrate the commitment of Cumberland County Health Department. And now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, on behalf of the City Council and more than 208,000 citizens, do hereby proclaim the week April 5th through April 11th in the year 2021 to be National Public Health Week, and encourage all residents of Fayetteville, North Carolina to observe this week by helping families, friends, neighbors, co-workers, and leaders to better understand the value of public health, and to thank Cumberland County Health Department for all their hard work they are doing to keep our community safe. In witness thereof, I hereundo set my hand on the cause of the Great Seal of the City of Fayetteville to be affixed this 18th day of March 2020. Mayor Mitch Cole. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I say a word or two, if that's okay? This is such an honor, and thank you for having me today. Public Week is something that is important in the world of our public health professionals. And frankly, this year, we didn't get to celebrate it like we normally would. So it's an honor that our partners at the city remembered and set this moment aside for us. It's been a trying year and last year, now in year 2 of the public health pandemic, but we do that in collaboration with our partners around the city and around the county. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I always say public health is a team sport, and we have to do it together, and I appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Green, don't go too far. So we have another little present for you.
Thanks.
So you have worked really hard over the last 393 days, all right? I have worked with you, and you've been very responsive to the city and coming to brief us as we talk to our constituents. The press conferences and just the sharing of information has been outstanding. And so just a token of our appreciation, this is on behalf of the mayor and city council of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Our city coroner is presented to Dr. Jennifer Green and the Cumberland County Health Department in grateful recognition for the commitment to the safety of the residents of Fayetteville and Cumberland County and your outstanding work that you've rendered during the COVID-19 pandemic. So.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all. We appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, it's time for Cape Fair now.
Yes, it is. It's so good, I want to do it.
All right.
All right, do we have,
anyone here to receive that? Do we have anyone from here for Cape Fair to receive that? Okay. We'll make sure that they get it.
let me read it.
Yes.
Okay. Whereas the nation is experiencing one of the worst pandemics in the history as a result of the coronavirus, and whereas those who have chosen the healthcare profession as a calling serve their communities with reverence to the human life and individual dignity. And whereas physicians, nurses, health aides, EMTs, and others who work in healthcare are dedicated to relieving pain and suffering. And whereas administrative staff, maintenance staff, and janitorial staff have been working along healthcare workers to meet the needs during the turbulent time in our nation. And whereas the tremendous efforts of their commitment to quality care and patient safety for all staff at Cape Fear Hospital and clinics while serving the front lines of the pandemic are critical in our time of need. And whereas these essential workers have worked tirelessly while risking their own lives and their well-being of their families. And whereas the heroic efforts, community spirit, care for fellow residents, and dedication to their skills provided during the pandemic demonstrate the commitment of Cape Fear Valley Health. And now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, on behalf of the City Council and more than 2,008 residents, do hereby honor and extend our deepest gratitude to Cape Fear Valley Health and proclaim the 31st day of March in the year 2021 Cape Fear Valley Health Recognition Day. I encourage all residents of Fayetteville, North Carolina, to acknowledge the staff of Cape Fear Valley Health for their devoted and well-being to our residents. I, witness thereof, I here do set my hand on the cause of the Great Seal of Fayetteville to be affixed the 8th day of March, 2021. Mayor Mitch Colvin.
And let me say again, as echo the words to Dr. Green and to Mr. Bullitt and all who've really stepped up to the plate during this last 13, 14 months. Mike Nagowski and his team have been just as good as anybody with, we could stand them up with the best hospitals in the country with putting out COVID vaccine. I mean, we're actually leading the way with vaccinations. They have a seamless process, and they have been very good every day for the last at least 280 of those 93 days. or 393 days. I've gotten a text that said, this is how many COVID patients we have, this is where we are. And I've seen that number go from as little as 14 or 13, I think, all the way up to over 125 or 30, and everything in between. But he is consistent every day, and his team at Cape Fear. We definitely thank you guys if you're paying attention for your hard work, and Dr. Wells down in the Hope County side of it. But thank you for all that you all are doing for the health of our community. So thank you. All right, at this time, I will meet the chief down front. Didn't know about that, did you? I forgot. No, I knew about it, sir. I knew about it.
Yeah, I do.
Can't pull nothing over on the police.
Especially about the folks that work for serve us on the front line.
Okay, whereas emergencies can occur, hold on. Oh. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when the emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of our property, and whereas our safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Fayetteville Police Fire Communication Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are a single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators have contributed to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has expedited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, I, Mitch Colvin, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby honorably proclaim April 11th through 17th, 2021 as Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause to the Great Seal of Fayetteville to be affixed this first day of April in the year 2020. Mayor Mitch Colvin.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Team Telecommunicators Unit. They are truly, truly the voice behind all of our safety. They work so hard. We get so many big wins. So if you see one with their blue shirt, just tell them appreciate you, thank you. But thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, guys who are joining, and ladies who are joining us remotely for the hard work you do for the safety of our community as well. We greatly appreciate it, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I go to my announcement, I would like to add, when they brought their, when they brought their, the fire department brought their presentation to us, they often said, we're the ones that kind of on the back end of things, and telecommunicators are the very, very first responders. And a lot of times, before the police can get there to any type of incident, a lot of times it's our fire department that responds. And I would like to acknowledge them tonight as well. I don't see Fire Chief Hill here, but I did want to acknowledge them as well. So the announcement that I have is this Saturday, at the success of Councilmember Kingston's request, there will be the city's annual community-wide cleanup this Saturday, April 17th at 9 At 8 a.m. begins the distribution. And that you can get your items at Hurley Way. It's downtown. You can find the distribution map at FayettevilleBeautiful.com. We are asking that you pick a location in your community and clean up. And I'm going to do this publicly and ask that my council member colleagues pick a location and they, go pick it up. And I hope that they can post to their social media that they have done so on Saturday and join the cause. We are very, litter abatement is a high priority on our agenda. And so we would hope that you join this with us on Saturday and come out and clean up and keep our city clean and beautiful. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Absolutely needed. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a great announcement that I know that the council is very proud of, and I would like to thank Councilmember Kenston for bringing it back to my attention. So this weekend, our Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council won a lot of awards at the state delegation. So the 2021 State Youth Council Awards go to the most outstanding youth council is our very own Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council. The most impactful member in the whole state is here at the Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council. It is Deborah. During the Youth Council, we do not give last names, so that's the reason why you're not getting her last name, but Deborah did win. 2021, the best volunteer was our vice chair, which Deborah is our chair, is Ernie. And the 2021 most creative, innovative virtual project goes to your Fayetteville Cumberland Youth Council. So they make us proud every year, and they just keep getting more and more and more. So when I had spoke to Miss Glover when they found out they had it, and she sent me the text out to send to everybody, she was very emotional because she had it has been a tough year for our kids, and she stuck with them. They did Zoom calls they were on Zoom calls probably 4 times a week, 5 times a week maybe, and they stuck with their meetings, and they I invite any council member to come and join their meetings. Our youth looks very good here in Fayetteville. So I just want to give that piece of information so everybody knows that the youth council is still going strong. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and congratulations to the Fayetteville Cumberland County Youth Council and Ms. Glover. Wonderful job, and you all continue to do great things for us. Council, at this time, that concludes the announcements. I'll go to item 5.0, the City Manager's Report. Mr. Hewitt.
Mayor, I don't have anything at this time.
Thank you, sir. Council, item 6.0 is the approval of the agenda. Councilman Davis, did you have an item that you want to ask council to consider?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if it would be, if council would be so open, I would like to request that we suspend the rules and
To add an item to the
I'd like to add
agenda.
an item to the agenda.
And that item would propose to be, if it passes, you want to put it in the,
On the
after the
consent
pub.
agenda.
Sir? You want to do it after the 10
7
points?
Is it 7.09?
No, it wouldn't be consent. It could be one of the other sections. So what do you think, Madam Attorney, 11.02?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Simplicity, 11.02. And you want to explain that item?
Yes, in light of Councilmember Crisp's health, hospice, and home situation, I'm requesting that council allow us to suspend the rules by getting a vote of supermajority in order to vote to name Senior City West tonight in the name of William Joseph Leon Crisp tonight.
So let me recap that. So I think the ask is to, one, the first ask is to see if this item can be added to the agenda. and that's what we would need,
In section 11.0.
yeah, we would need at least 2/3, 3/4 carrying her math of who's present, okay? And
8 out of
then,
10.
after that, then we would vote on that item at that time to change or amend the policy, which allowed for that to happen, I think.
Yes, sir.
Is that
Is that right,
correct?
Madam Attorney?
Madam
Yes.
Attorney? Okay, all right.
Yes.
So there's a motion by Councilmember
Add
Davis.
it to the agenda right now.
Add
In
tab,
section
as
11.0.
11.02, yes, sir. So there's a motion by Councilmember Davis to add that item to the, I've got a couple of. All right, so there's a motion by Councilmember Davis to add this item to the agenda. There's a second by Councilmember Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, I look to you for your votes, and this is to add the additional item, 11.02. All right. Madam Clerk, that is unanimous by those voting. So then when we come to 11.02, that'll be the merits of that ask. Okay. All right. Consent, item 7.0. Council, I'll entertain a motion to,
Mayor,
ma'am?
I'm sorry. We did add the item to the agenda, but did you have a motion to approve the
To
agenda?
approve the agenda, yeah. Well, I guess we need that before we get down to business, huh?
So be it, Mr. Mayor,
all
I
right.
make a motion to approve the agenda.
With the addition.
With the addition of 11.02.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Wright to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Okay, all right. There's a second by Councilmember Dawkins. Any discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? All right, council, I'll look to you for your votes. All right. Madam Clerk, that is unanimous. Motion carries. Item 7.0 is the consent. Council, I'll look to you for action on consent.
Mr. Mayor, we move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, so there's a motion by Councilmember Wright to approve the consent. There's a second by Councilmember Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? All right, council, I'll look to you for votes for consent. All right, Madam Clerk, motion carries unanimous by those voting. Item 8.01, litter, illegal dumping, city cleanup initiatives.
Yes, sir, this will be presented by Brooke Redding.
Hello, sir. This is what we've been waiting on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here, Brooke Redding, the Assistant to the City Manager, here to present to Mayor and Council the city cleanup initiatives and kind of cover everything the city's doing to handle litter abatement and illegal dumping or prevention of illegal dumping in the city. So this background and everything that's going to come up in the next few slides, Council, are really to bring light and discuss the issues of litter and illegal dumping and describe what they are, and as well as explain to the council on how we address these issues as a staff. So litter and illegal dumping are wicked problems. That's a academic term, but they are. They're problems that are derived from society and just all the actions that we have every day. Litter and illegal dumping are subject to the mix of social, economic, environmental, infrastructural, political, and other cultural factors. Litter is waste that's been deposited and put, left, dropped, or thrown. It's allowed to fall there or be blown from motorized vehicles, trailers, or land and roadways. And illegal dumping is the disposal of waste in an unpermitted area. So illegal dumping is pretty interesting. The types of groups of people that illegal or conduct illegal dumping are your construction and demolition, your remodeling contractors, your waste management companies, general hauling contractors, residents and the DIY or do-it-yourselfers. Maybe they don't know where to take their waste when they're done. And those are all the people that illegal dump, but the contributing factors to that would be the demographics, the communities with limited access to convenient waste disposal facilities and services, or the lack of understanding where those are at, the physical characteristics of the area, the unsecured properties, the undeveloped lots, abandoned structures, and remote spaces, the lack of education regarding waste disposal, and the lack of solid waste codes and ordinances, which we do have plenty of those. Litter versus littering. So it's vital that we really look at the two terms, litter versus littering, the behavior, and we investigate them separately. While litter accumulates in areas around the cities and roadways of a particular focal point, it's ever present and cannot entirely be prevented. Littering, though, however, is a behavior, and we can change that behavior using comprehensive strategies to layer operations together while increasing our public education like council has. There are four basic types of people that are your litterers. You have the non-litterers, your environmentally conscious people that usually pick up litter from others. You have the inconvenient litterer, that they're unaware of the link between the environment and their behavior. You have the willfully arrogant litterer, that are usually a litterer in context, meaning it's okay to litter here but not there. And then, of course, your anti-establishment, which are people that are just making a statement or just don't care. And those are all derived from, again, trucks and illegal dump sites, pedestrians, drivers, but they all have several different actions that we can do to address it. And those best practices are highlighted there on the right of the slide. So we can make proper disposal convenient and accessible. We can ensure consistent and ongoing cleanup efforts. We can use landscaping and improving the built infrastructure and ongoing maintenance. And we can make the most of awareness and motivational campaigns. So North Carolina law is pretty extensive, and there's a lot of different violations or layers to the violations, but they're basically broken down into two categories by North Carolina law. That's the intentional littering or unintentional littering. The intentional littering carries a maximum fine of up to $2,000, a Class 3 misdemeanor with a maximum of 100 hours community service, and that's normally a repeat offender that would get that type of charge put against them. For unintentional littering in the state of North Carolina is a $300 citation and a maximum of 50 community hours, or hours of community service, excuse me. The city of Fayetteville has also put several ordinances to address these issues. The bottom line is that in the city of Fayetteville, we do not condone litter and illegal dumping. We'll continue to enforce law and ordinances surrounding litter and illegal dumping as we go through with the community. This next slide is really some city data. So the staff uses three components to kind of measure our reports and our service requests and our work orders. So we have CityWorks, we have Fix-It, and then we have the litter index score. So this year, the litter index score was conducted by staff, and we came up with a 2.7 out of 4, which is historically much higher than previous. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a detrimental effect on just trash everywhere across the state. We have increased our efforts to clean that up, and we'll cover that in a second, but the bottom line is it has increased. Our CityWorks order data. So historically, we range between 300 and 500 requests or reports of illegal dumping. This year, we've had 116 just in CityWorks so far this fiscal year. So City Council approved several initiatives and provided guidance to city staff at FY21 and in years previous to that. But last year, you created a couple initiatives and approved them in the funding, and we're going to talk about those here. From those initiatives, the city manager provided some guidance and a vision, and we created 4 lines of effort to really meet the city manager's intent and his directives. The first one was a comprehensive public education campaign. The second was a litter abatement program. The third, an illegal dumping prevention program, and the fourth was focusing on partnerships and increasing our base and the way we communicate and work with others. The public education campaign and 2 programs really incorporate a wide variety of tasks and objectives with action and the following strategic measures. So we wanted to measure the performance. We wanted to employ physical intervention and mechanical device innovations. We wanted to emphasize litter and illegal dumping policies and enforcement. We wanted to partner with stakeholders, and we want to increase public awareness, participation, and ownership. And you'll see that we've done that extensively and will continue to. So the first line of effort, the public education campaign. So this public education campaign council funded back in December of last year. We have initiated already. There's 2 separate consortiums that have derived to support that and feed information to it. One was the litter abatement program, the other one, the illegal dumping prevention program. But the bottom line is we have direct mailers going out to the residents in the city, telling them how to recycle, where to recycle, how to use the municipal waste hauls or services and where to use them, as well as the best practices for litter and illegal dumping prevention. our second line of effort, the litter abatement program, is pretty wide. There's a lot of different pieces here. So we're going to talk about operations first. So the Parks and Recreation Department has 4 litter crews. Council approved a 4th one in the FY21 budget. They have 12 seasonal employees that work in the crews, and they have an annual tonnage collected of 151 tons of litter. These litter crews have also supported all of the different litter cleanup events that we've had using the 5 for Friday campaign, which I'll talk about in a second. The next is the Public Services Department, the street sweeping crews. So the street sweeping crews they're in the Traffic Services Division in the Public Services Department. They operate along 35 routes, which have 7 to 10 various subdivisions each. They're on call 24 hours a day. They've got 12 full-time employee positions available, and they have an annual tonnage of 4,006 tons that they collect just with street sweepers every year. 5 for Friday, the reversed litter campaign. This is actually an enduring reverse litter campaign. We don't plan for it to go anywhere except to expand it and increase it to the public. So 5 for Friday is an enduring reverse litter campaign. As I said, the campaign asks residents, business owners, and the public to take the pledge. Pick up 5 pieces of litter every Friday. Cumberland County, Sustainable Sandhills, and City of Fayetteville have joined forces to run this campaign. We've got a great relationship with Amanda Bader, the Director of Solid Waste and the Landfill Operations in County. They have worked extensively with us, as well as Sustainable Sandhills. We'll talk about it a little bit as well. So we had our first kickoff event on 26 February. We had 18 volunteers, and we picked up over 100 bags of litter. We did a pop-up cleanup event on 26 March. We only had 6 volunteers to show up for that. It's kind of hard to get volunteers on short notice, but we still ended up picking over 40 bags of litter just on the Campground Road section between Lowe's and the other shopping area over there by Lowe's off Skybo. And now I have a video. Corporate Communications has done a lot of work to help staff really advertise this out. So I'm going to play this short video. It's kind of quirky. It's intended to be quirky. If they can go ahead and play that from the back. Gavin.
Okay, you ready? You rolling? Hey, Stan, what is this 5 for Friday promotion or campaign?
5 for Friday is a community campaign that encourages businesses, schools, community groups, and individuals to reverse litter by picking up 5 pieces of trash and recyclable materials every Friday.
Why is 5 for Friday important to you?
Well, nobody likes litter, and we are 335,000 residents strong, and if only 1.5% of our community disposed of 5 pieces of litter a week into the trash can or recycling bin, Cumberland County would reduce litter by 1.3 million pieces.
Okay, Stan.
What can the public do to help, Stan?
It's easy. Take the pledge. Visit 5forfriday.org for more information and do your part to make Cumberland County a cleaner, healthier, and safer place to live, work, and play. Anybody can do it.
Okay, Stan.
We have to spread the word, but we will leave you with some valuable 5 for Friday information. Remember, take the pledge.
Again, it's a little corny, but it's intended to be that way. And that's just a snippet of the multitude of work Corporate Communications has put into all of these different initiatives as far as social media and getting information out to the public. The next item I want to talk about is the Fayetteville Beautiful Community Cleanup event. This is happening next Saturday on 17 April from 8 to 9:30 in the morning. Volunteers can pick up their equipment, and as Councilmember Ingram had spoken about, in front of Hurley Way outside of Secker Stadium. They can go online to fayettevillebeautiful.com and sign up right now on our website. If they're unable to sign up on the map, there's an additional button there they can click on and just fill out the form, and staff will go ahead and plug in the area that they're requesting. And if they don't put in an area, we'll put somewhere near downtown for them to come pick up equipment and go to. This has been going on for, I want to say, 9 years straight, minus last year and the year before. It's great that we're bringing the program back, and we really hope to get participants out there. I know that a couple council members have signed up, and we are asking that everybody in the city put their best foot forward, sign up, come pick up some trash bags, get a free t-shirt, and go pick up some trash, make a difference in the city. So a little bit more on our litter abatement program. The Parks and Recreation Department, again, they have the Adopt a Street Site Park Amenity Program. Right now, there are 37 roadways adopted in the city by community groups. For our listeners at home and for council, this is still an active program. You can go to FayettevilleNC.gov and you can look up under the Parks and Rec division the different programs they offer, and you can sign up with your community group there. And then our Public Services Department has done a lot of support last year and will later this year with the e-waste drive. So we do a couple different events. We do shred events, which the Fayetteville Police Department has done. We have the e-waste drive, which we ran last October. We have a very successful turnout with 9 tons of electronic waste collected last year. We actually filled up 2.5 trucks, well, 2 trucks and half of a flat rack that was dropped on the ground. So there was a lot of electronic waste turned over. We had 16 volunteers out there, and we are planning another event in late summer, early fall 21. Line of effort 3. So our illegal dumping and prevention program. So council funded the Removing and Preventing Illegal Dumping, or RAPID team, back with the FY21 budget. This was an expansion of the code enforcement capability to really focus on municipal waste violations in the right-of-way, as well as illegal dumping, identifying, investigating it, and inciting the culprits that we can find. Right now they have 2 full-time employees. They're there on that picture. They have identified 56 illegal dump sites since January. They've cleaned 29 of those illegal dump sites with support from the Solid Waste Division. They have actually issued 5 citations for illegal dumping in FY21 so far. So those are municipal code violations, which is the first layer we use on enforcement. We give them a heads up. Here's your fine. Here you go, clean it up. And then if we catch them again, we escalate to NCGS. So far, they've collected over 200 tons of illegal dumping in the city in the past 4 months. So there's a lot of waste out there. The Public Services Department, our solid waste division. So they're an integral stakeholder in the illegal dumping program. They have all the big equipment, they have the horsepower with staff, they have a lot of different entities. So while the RAPID team is out there investigating and identifying and trying to prevent this actively with engaging the public, they're also augmented in capacity by the Solid Waste Division to make these cleanups. So they provide a lot of support with Ms. Sheila and her staff. So there are 76 full-time employees in Solid Waste Division. They have collected over 59,649 tons of waste in FY21, which is not including yard waste this year. That's not from illegal dumping, that's all the trash they've collected. They have, however, collected 3,500 tons of bulky item waste from residents in 21, which is one of those discussions they'll have later with, when they get to solid waste and other aspects of operations later this year. And then our public nonprofit partnership, which is still part of the illegal dumping program, is the Sustainable Sandhills Sustainability Project Coordinator. Council also funded this position with Sustainable Sandhills. While that staff member works for Sustainable Sandhills, they're tied directly to us and paid for by the city. They have helped out immensely. They've allowed us to extend our reach into the public with a boots-to-ground approach on 5 for Friday. I believe we have over 20 businesses that have already taken the pledge to pick up litter around their lots every Friday to dispatch their employees and pick up along the right-of-way, and we're going to continue to expand that program as we go. And so line of effort 4 is the partnerships, and this is the city manager really pushed this starting last year, so we have taken it and ran. So far we have 2 governments and 1 nonprofit that make 2 intergovernmental cohorts. This is an impact of 215,000 residents, and we've collected over 4,200 tons of litter a year just from these actions. So what does all this cost? And, the city manager asked that we break this down, and so you can see on the chart here on the right, the litter collection effort broken down by expense, and the rapid code enforcement broken down by expense. And at the bottom of that graph, you'll see pennies on the tax rate. So what all that equates to out of our 4,995 that is in our tax rate. So the city of Fayetteville spends an estimated $294,000 annually on litter collection. The RAPID initiative has an estimated annual cost of $206,600. Their tipping expenses of collected waste are estimated to be $21,600 annually, just from picking up waste and having to tip it at the landfill. And our all recurring costs are estimated at $500,600 annually. So $500,000 to pick up trash. But it's a lot, and it's getting us cleaner. So pending council's questions, that completes the presentation.
All right, lighting up like Christmas over here. So 2 questions I have before I go to, did you put them down in order? Okay. All right, so one is the funded position that we talked about. It wasn't for Stan, right?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, and then the fine that you spoke of that was being assessed to property owners for illegal dump sites, that you were assessing for illegal dump sites, is that to the property owner or is that to if you happen to catch a perpetrator? Who are you fining?
So it's circumstantial. In the 5 instances that a citation has been issued, it has been issued to a person. So in a short version, the rapid team went, found an illegal dump site. They investigate, kind of peruse through it, find a bunch of criteria that takes us back to a location, a person's address, go back, talk to them, they admit, issue them a citation. That's one instance of the 5, but they're all kind of like that, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, so go with Councilman Hare.
Thanks, Mayor. That was a taste of my concern about where the finding was going to go, but also how are we assisting those property owners, if it's any more outside of the finding, where people go and illegal dump on their properties and they are constantly cleaning it up. I mean, I hear about it all the time. Occasionally, I even have to deal with that myself. What is the assist? How is that working? Because if that's the case, because the property owner would always be the one paying. Of course, a lot of times they're always the one that are cleaning. So, is there any assistance in there? Any support?
Yes, sir. So right now, the rapid team, if they move to a parcel that is a privately owned residence or a plot of land and it's got illegal dumping on it, they contact that owner. We have not issued and have not planned to issue any citations to property owners for those issues unless they become non-compliant, meaning they're not willing to kind of cooperate with the city. So they've been using an ombudsman approach of high levels of customer service. So the rapid team will go up and speak to them. Hey, you have these issues on your property. How can we fix this? Oh, I don't have the means to it. So the rapid team will then kind of augment and help pick that up for now. Most of those on the smaller parcels, sir, are pretty small and they can handle it with that 2-person team. When we get into the larger dump sites like near Vogel behind the landfill and some of those other places where there's not residential property around it, and you can see the video here, this is behind Vogel, those don't have a person to cite. So we have to just clean them up and go forward, and that goes into the prevention part. So council also funded an illegal dumping set of signs that are actuated with lights and flash and kind of warn people when they go in the area, as well as some surveillance camera system. So that is getting ready to be implemented. We had a little bit of a hiccup on getting the signs so that we didn't have to worry about somebody going and taking them. We had to make the structure they're gonna be mounted to strong. Staff plans to put that in the next 30 days to 10 different sites. And then the rapid team will then employ that surveillance camera so we can actually catch people in the act. But back to your question, sir, to answer it.
Please.
We do not plan to cite those property owners at the first instance. We have to go and kind of figure out what's going on. And so we don't have any record of the rapid team currently issue a citation for that. We do our best effort to help them clean that up, but because it's private property, we are limited in scope to what we can do, sir. So most of the time we ask them to move it to the curb and we can solve that problem that way.
Now, you said a response that I didn't quite, you said that they wouldn't be cited for the first time. And I see some locations on property owners that continuously get dumped on. And I continuously get the calls and they're trying to pick it up. So is it, I don't know if not finding them the first time is the answer. It's got to be something more a continual for them. I mean, they can put up signs. I've seen signs go up, maybe some type of barrier. I've even seen them go in front of the barrier, because people are really doing what they can to stop it. So I would appreciate personally if there would be more that we could do for those property owners when situations are like that. That one time is not enough for them.
Yes, sir. And as staff continues to, as the rapid evolves and as we continue to move forward on these initiatives, that exact topic is on our list of things to plan and try to figure out a better way to bring information to council on how we can solve that. You are correct, that signs help, barriers are important, but because of the way the law is, we are limited in scope to what we can do to that private property.
And my last two is bags for residents. Is that something that's still open? I do know that during leaf season, residents can go to, if they want to get bags, they can go to the fire stations. So is this also going to be something that's open where they can go and pick up litter bags if that's something that they want to do?
We have not built that into the program yet, sir. However, we have a bunch of litter bags, thousands of them. So if residents need litter bags and they want to come pick up litter or they want to pick them up, they can coordinate through us and we will help get them the equipment they need. I drove around Friday, and handed out 3 boxes worth of bags to people that were participating in Fayetteville Beautiful but weren't able to go the day of to pick it up.
So the normal place for them to pick up is where?
We'll be here at City Hall, sir.
Okay. And I would greatly appreciate getting that little video you had. I'd love to share it with my constituent base. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilman Harris. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Redding, that was a really great presentation. Thank you. I have about 3 to 4 questions, depending on how you respond. So first question concern street sweeping. So you said there's 35 routes. Not all communities receive street sweeping. And I've had this conversation with the manager. How many street sweeping trucks do we have?
I'm gonna have to default to Ms. Shiva Thomas Ambat. I believe it's 10, but I may be wrong.
We have 10, and we provide support to 35 routes.
We have 10 street sweeping trucks.
Okay. And 35, and we provide support to 35 routes. So that means not all streets within the city receive street sweeping attention. That would be correct?
All streets in the city do receive, all public streets in the city receive street sweeping attention.
Okay, so in the event someone says, I don't receive street sweeping, and I know I'm in the right of way, who would they report that to hypothetically? Would they just call the Fay 1 number, the call center?
You could, absolutely. You would call the City of Fayetteville Fay 1 number.
Okay, and then what if they report that and still no street sweeping happens?
We have a C-click fix as well as the Fay 111, and we certainly want to be able to track those incidences if you're not getting service as requested.
Okay, my next, when you were talking about the 4 trucks, Mr. Redding, were you talking about the litter trucks?
The 4 litter crews, ma'am?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
and so the 4 litter crews operate out of 2 trucks?
Yeah, they use 3 trucks, so 3 F-250s, and they have 2 ATVs that are pulled by a
And that's
truck.
okay. And I don't think I can see the trucks. So I'm getting it mixed up between the Fay Fix-It truck with the big claw. That's not the same truck, is it?
The truck, there's 2 kinds of trucks with a claw. They both exist in solid waste. One is a knuckle boom that picks up limbs and yard waste. The other
Okay.
is the trash can that picks up our carts.
Okay, so I'm talking about I know it as I call it the Fay Fix-It truck. It has the big claw on the side that picks the stuff up.
Bulky
The bulky items, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, how many of those trucks do we have?
Knuckle booms.
I want to say 6 to 8. Mr. Daniel Edwards is here.
How many knuckle booms, sir?
All right, so in your I guess your professional, for a city this size, do we have enough trucks and equipment to meet the goals that we are trying to get to? I'm asking this because we are going into budget season, and if litter is going to be a priority of ours, I will want to make sure that we have everything we need.
Thank you,
Mr.
Sheila.
Manager has his letter.
One of the answer to that question is probably not if council's asking. One of the things that the council did a couple of years ago, and we've tried to stay true to, is to make the solid waste department an enterprise fund. And so it is funded by the solid waste fees. And so one of the things that we have worked really hard on, and as Brooke mentioned, Daniel Edwards and Sheila Thomas-Ambet and others are looking to hopefully set up almost like service level agreements is the best way to put it, of when you call something in, what would be a reasonable time for us to pick that up. And you may recall that we talked about one of the hardships that we have is that right now someone has put something outside of the house and we don't know what it is. And so it makes it nearly impossible then for Daniel, Sheila, or for Brooke to say, we'll pick that up in 5 days, because someone's just put a mattress out right now. And we don't even know it's out there yet. But my trash day was today, and so the next time somebody will be by my house will be this Friday when they pick up my yard waste. And so if I don't call it in and my neighbor doesn't call it in, let's say Daniel's crew's identified on Friday that it's outside my house, but they're already full for the next 2 days after that, on Monday and Tuesday with the knuckle boom, that mattress that no one called in could be out there for 2 or 3 weeks, potentially. And so what we talked about doing is moving from where we are now, where you put it to the road and it's my responsibility, that over time, once we straighten out the ordinance and we start talking about service level agreements, that we are going to be slowly moving our community towards you call it in and we give you a date and you put it out closer to that date so we keep the streets cleaner. And it is in that way that we believe that we will be able to have enough trucks and resources to meet the demand. And if we come up and people start saying on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, the demand exceeds our trucks and our staffing ability, then we'll be able to come back to you and say, we've done everything we can to maximize these routes, and so we're going to need to maintain this high level of service to be able to pick it up within so many days of us being called and notified. We'll get it. But right now, that's the transition we're trying to work on, is to try to get from you just put it to the road and it's our responsibility to we're going to educate you. The rapid team is part of that. It also takes some pressure off of Daniel and Sheila's supervisors so that they can actually spend more time educating citizens as well. I mean, I think all of you have called me at one point in time about stuff that just seems to sit at the road. And I think this is our effort to try to slowly take back control of our rights away. But it's going to take time for us to get there.
Thank you. I have one final question, and it might be for the attorney or Chief Hawkins. Mr. Redding mentioned that the new signage that with the blinking lights that get put out will have cameras attached to them. And while we are focused on making sure that we keep our city clean, in my perspective, that is an offense to the city and state. So much like when we, Crime Stoppers put out someone we're looking for, could we potentially say this person is littering in our community? You kind of know better. Is that something could that be something we could do to just let people know that we're serious about this?
Are you talking about hypothetical of we have a person that
you got caught on camera, yeah,
doing illegal
putting
dumping?
It out.
The same as what we did with people that were looting and things last
year.
Yeah,
put it out and put it out there. You're contributing to littering. Here's what you look like. Put it up so they know that we're serious about this. And that's why I said it might be for the attorney or Chief Hawkins. I don't know if we could, but
yes,
to me it's an offense if you're doing it.
Yes, ma'am. And I know that in discussion with the rapid team and the leadership from Development Services, as well as some of the discussions we've had in the cohort with these programs, when we do find culprits that do those actions and have that, we're hoping to be able to put them on social media to say, hey, this is a person that is illegal dumping in your neighborhood. It is a behavior. It's a behavior issue. So if we can advertise that we're catching people doing it, and we're trying to stop that behavior.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Wright.
Yes, I really am excited about the program and the projects that you have for cleaning up the city. Great job. Have a question about the cameras. You mentioned that it's going on 10 sites.
We have one camera that camera will be autonomous and will move between sites.
Only one camera?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm certainly misunderstood that information. What is the price per camera?
This particular camera system is $5,000 for a single camera.
Mm-hmm. And so, why was those 10 sites chosen? Because of the frequency of the dumping and complaints?
Yes, sir. So we did a hefty amount of analysis with code enforcement and city manager's office, as well as public services. So those 10 sites are the most dumped at locations in the city, and they're going to be receiving the signs, and then of course our camera that is a single one for now, more of a test for the program, will be moved by Rapid and implemented in that way.
Yeah, I just want to suggest that we go ahead and invest in more cameras. And I think that the more cameras on more frequently dumped sites would achieve our goal quicker. I think we're kind of like just throwing, you know, a needle in the haystack, kind of like. So they find, okay, the camera's here this time, I'll go dump somewhere where the camera's not. So I think to help us to achieve our goal, I think we need to make that investment. And I don't know if the council feels that way, but yes, sir.
If I may provide a little fidelity, so that the original intention was to start with one and test it, sir, so that we make sure that it meets our needs and that we're able to accurately employ it and use it correctly. We only have 2 Rapid members. We don't have a staff component that could handle 10 cameras. I can't go to PD and ask them to monitor illegal dumping. So that there's a little bit of a process here. The intent is that we do expand with success. But right now we're in that infancy of the Rapid team and their ability and their capacity.
You wouldn't be monitoring the cameras 24/7, would you? You kind of like would just take a look at the cameras, see if, I think we need to develop a system where the cameras will alert you, just like we have alerts. Okay, you have activity here now, let's check it out. They have those cameras that
Yes,
you
sir.
buy at Sam's Warehouse. You know, so I don't think it's an expensive fix. I think we just need to have the will to do it. And I think we really need to look at that, because I think the cameras is a very important piece, and I think that it would cause people to think twice before they dump, because we have a serious dumping problem here in Fayetteville.
Yes, sir.
And the next question, and finally, is you talked about solid waste, and you gave some impressive numbers of tonnage that has been dumped. The question on like furniture, because when you look at solid waste, are you talking about furniture and chairs and tables and things of that nature, or are you talking about, when you say solid waste, you're talking about garbage? Can you define that?
So there's a few different categories. You have household waste, yard waste, bulky items, and then bulk item period of like yard waste sticks and things like the trees that people put outside their yards. The statistics or the numbers that I have on the slide right now were covering the total tons of household waste picked
Okay.
up, and then that last bullet there of 3,500 tons is the actual bulky items.
And so you
Just furniture.
already have collected that here in 2020, 21.
Yes, sir.
In half a year. So is that number a high number based upon last year, or is this average tonnage? Can you help me out? And is that waste also counted for citizens that take their bulky items to the landfill? Is that a separate count? Because you have to weigh when you go there as well.
Yes, sir. So none of the tonnage that's on there is going to have anything that a resident takes to a landfill. That is simply the tonnage amounts that have been tipped by our solid waste division. In regards to the past years, I don't have those numbers on me. I know that we have them prepared, and I know that we can get them back to you in the next couple of
Yeah,
days. sir.
it would be good to see those numbers, because I have a sneaky suspicion that we have more waste this year because of COVID. People are at home, people cleaning up, people doing, So I'm interested to see if these numbers went higher because of COVID versus last year and previous years.
We'll
Thank you,
pull that
sir.
together for you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wright. Councilmember Waddell.
Oh, yes, I am. I asked you if you could hear me. We may need to.
I could hear you.
I could hear me too. And Johnny apparently could hear me because he didn't ask me to speak up. Councilmember Dawkins, good deal. So very briefly, my statement was we've seen a 32% increase from the previous year. With that being said, that means that we are likely putting money at a problem that creates a culture that says you throw it out, we'll pick it up. What I'd like to see as a policymaker is that the dollars that we are putting toward this issue are actually causing us to start seeing some decreases. And so what I'm asking for is that quarterly update so that we can see if our policy and the funding that we're putting toward the policy is making a difference or not, because we may have to make some different considerations if it's not. Because if the inference in the community becomes just as quickly as we put it out, it'll get picked up, so it's not that serious, then we most certainly have to look at that. Also, and this is an aside and probably something that you guys have thought about in great detail, are we taking Stand the Can and this messaging and partnering with the school system so that we're going into the elementary schools and maybe Stan's popping up in a kid's Zoom classroom, or he's popping up when they go back to school in person and bringing the message? Because I've said this consistently since I've been on council. I remember being a little kid and we were told not to be a litter bug, and we would take that home, and if you saw your parent getting ready to throw something out the window, you chastised them because that messaging was driven home. And parents don't want to be embarrassed by their children, and they don't want to be called out, most of them. And so children have the ability, and then children grow up to be adults who carry that message, because to this day, it's deplorable to me to litter, because I learned at a young age, you just don't do that. So are we taking that messaging into the school system? And then the question about the camera has been touched on. I really wanted some information about the quality of the camera, because to Councilman Wright's point, you know, my husband puts up deer cams in the back of our house, and we can see, you know, moving critters and identify them quite easily, but we probably wouldn't be able to make out a license tag or something of that nature. And so I'm wondering, are we going to be able to clearly and definitively be able to tell who is littering? And if we can, will you be looking to this council for additional funding dollars to be able to deploy more cameras? Because we all can think of somewhere that we'd like to see a camera. So those are the questions that I have. Oh, and one more, I'm sorry. Well, excuse me, I'm not sorry, but excuse me. The last question would be, when we talk about the rapid deployment team, who do they respond to? Does Rapid respond to a citizen's concern? Does Rapid respond to a council member's email? Or does Rapid respond to a council member sending information over and then it is tracked through the city manager's office to be addressed? Because I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of how that team is deployed. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So a little bit there to unpack, but I think I've got it. So please let me know if I miss anything. So quarterly update. Yes, the city manager, I believe last week or the week before, gave instructions to the chief of staff and myself to make sure that we are generating a quarterly update for council. And that is a wide range of information, but we'll have more for you later. I don't want to elaborate too more. I say something I shouldn't. It's also a target for action. Yes, that's why Rebecca is back there doing jumping jacks. The next one was the talk about the increase of litter and illegal dumping presence. There's a lot of variables that go into that issue, and a lot of things that have happened over the past 393 days that have had a detrimental impact to the overall appearance, the behavior of our residents, our capacity as a staff and our capability as a staff, as well as the ownership levels of residents on their own. And they're all kind of tied together, but you're absolutely right. We've had an increase. We continue to measure and monitor, and we'll make sure we have that information in quarterly reports so that we can quantify and bring to council options to either decrease or increase the statistics we're looking at. You had talked about schools. So Sustainable Sandhills, our sustainability project coordinator, they have an additional staff member in that nonprofit that is embedded in Cumberland County schools. We have worked closely with her. Unfortunately, this year, schools have been in Zoom meetings, essentially. Distance learning, that's what it is. That's what I did. So we haven't had a chance to really engage our youth through Cumberland County school system, but we are planning to do just that. 5 for Friday. Amanda Bader, the director of the landfill and solid waste operations, she has a coloring book, buckets made, different things that they're going to hand out to children when we get back to in-person schooling. And we plan to push that big with our school systems on the Fayetteville Beautiful, litter abatement program in general, the 5 for Friday campaign. That's why we have the Stand the Can and all these different more kind of goofy pieces to tie children in. Because you are right, ma'am. What you learn in school, you go home and you tell your parents, like, hey, littering's bad. I learned that when I was a kid. I don't litter now, and I believe in it. The cameras. So the cameras do not have a license plate reader capability on them. However, they are day and night vision capable. They are 1080p 1080p high definition. But we are doing we set up an agreement, a bailment agreement with that company to test that system before we commit to fully purchasing it. If that system works for us, then we do plan to come back to council and ask for that expansion in those systems. And then the rapid. So the removing and preventing illegal dumping. Like, how do they get the work they have to do? So it's multifaceted. The requests that are sent to Jackie Tuckey and other members of the city manager's office filter through Jackie and myself and end up sometimes at Rapid. There's been, just last week, there was a request on Murchison Corridor of an issue that was a bunch of stuff outside of a house. We couldn't get traction on it. We sent the Rapid team there. They issued a notice of violation on the site. So there is that capability. However, that's not their primary function. The majority of their work does come from information out of illegal dump sites that we have found, information reported from the Solid Waste Division, and information reported from the Code Enforcement Division of Development Services. So while they do get information pushed down from city manager's office of like, hey, this is a hot thing, we need to go check this out, the majority of their work is self-initiated and then broken down by sectors of the Code Enforcement Division. Does that answer all of your questions, ma'am?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Kinsler.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. My questions are around the street sweeping crew. So you mentioned that there's 35 routes and 7 to 10 various subdivisions. One of the requests that I would like to have is to have the list of the subdivisions that are included so that we have that. Also, how do we get additional streets added? That's my first question.
So in speaking with Cal Pettiford, he's the manager of the Stormwater division and street sweeping entities inside of that division. those 35 routes they have, the goal is that they are hitting a city street, every one of those streets, within a month time frame, within 4 weeks. And so that's the cycle they use. I have all of that broken down already and can provide that information.
Now, our goal is to hit the entire city once every quarter. So we do 4 to 6 rounds in a year for the entire city streets, and then around 8 for the freeways. So with the number of trucks that we have and the number of staff that we have, we're able to do between 4 to 6 rounds of the entire city, not once every month.
And it should also be noted, and we'll come back with this because it seems like the street sweeping has drawn some interest. There are things that the street sweepers pick up, and there are some things which the street sweepers don't. I know that I had a lot of conversation with Mr. Hare, for instance, about we'll see bumpers or mufflers or from accidents and stuff, which are out there. And anytime you see an incomplete accident that has not been cleaned up, as a council member, if you will contact Jackie, we can send someone specifically, and we can also cross-reference with the police department, particularly for accidents, that if we had a tow, a police department requested tow of that accident scene, and the tow truck driver did not clean the scene appropriately, we'll be able to send them back out or take them off of the rotation. But generally, the street sweepers, they pick up an awful lot. But some of the stuff that we see out there, like it seems like the street sweepers will pick up, that may not be it. But I think I've just sent you all a note that anytime you see something like that, if you'll just call or email Jackie, specifically, particularly some area that may need street sweeping, because as Sheila and Brooke have talked about, there may be a need to do some spot cleaning in between one of those cycles. Not saying that we go back, but some years ago, Karen, or I'm trying to think who was here at the time, the council, working with staff, actually changed the frequency of street sweeping in the residential neighborhoods.
Yeah, that was, we were here. Yeah.
Some time
we did
ago.
more on the thoroughfare.
Thoroughfares. We had, and you appropriately mentioned that some of that street sweeping activity is related to your stormwater program. And that is also to keep certain things and debris out of your stormwater system. But when we go beyond that for some aesthetic issues, then we have to figure that out as well. But Sheila, anything else to add on that? But if not, we'll bring that back to a work session in the near future.
Right, and it's also important to note that the street sweeping action only happens on curb and gutter streets. In other words, the street sweeper is unable to collect particles and so on and so forth on a ribbon paved street, the one that does not have a typical curb and gutter, because it has to use the edge of the curb to basically collect the material. So I think that's an important distinction to note. That's it.
And thank you, City Manager. You did address my other question with the record service. One of the other questions I had is, what is considered an emergency that would require a street sweeper to come out?
We do have, so when we have an accident of any case, of some sort, and our street sweepers are dispatched for an accident, in other words, when we have a police department that has an accident issue that has to be swept, the road has to be swept, our street sweepers go out and sweep that.
So the sweeper's coming out and the tow truck is responding as well?
I believe that's, the tow truck tows the vehicle, the street sweeper comes in at a later point and sweeps the street.
And so for a accident scene that the police department calls for a tow truck, the tow truck driver is supposed to clean the scene. But quite often what you'll see is that people say no harm, no foul, and they drag their stuff out of the road, and the police department may not have been contacted. And in that situation, you'll end up in an intersection with a lot of glass there, or there may be even a situation whereby the tow truck, I'm not aware of any situation where the tow truck can't clean it up and they have to call in the street sweeper. But if it is, the simplest approach I would give is, if you see something that needs attention like that, if you'll just, again, make Jackie aware, and we will definitely investigate. But the tow truck companies are, they are required to clean the accident scene. But what we quite often find when we see stuff that's in the roadway is that it may not have been a situation where we were contacted and a tow truck was called by police department. But and Chief Hawkins can shake her head, but I know that we really do. We get those all the time, and we have sent the tow trucks back out if we find out that they have not cleaned the scene. As a matter of fact, I think the police officers actually try to make sure they clean it before they release the accident scene too. So, but we will give you more information. We owe you more information, and if we can, on the street sweepers. And it probably is important to also include something about the accident recovery, because that may be something that's new to members of council.
All right, and then my last thing is just a comment. The comment on the education piece, so one of the things that I would recommend is if there was a way that we could have the can, even outside of events such as outside the Woodpeckers game, or maybe across the street as a very, photo op as well to educate. So that was all. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. So I did have just 2 quick points. One is I kind of want to talk about the tonnage increase. I kind of look at that as a metrics of success because, I remember my kids growing up, I had one in particular that you go in the room look clean, but then you look a little further and you got stuff hid over here and hid over there. So once you collected it, you're like, well, how did you get a bag full of trash out of the room? Now it's really clean. As long as that stuff is on the ground, it's not in the landfill. And I think that the tonnage increase kind of, to me, may be indicative that we're getting to more of it. And I do want to say that during COVID, DOT, who covers a lot of the state highways, basically had suspended all litter pickup. And I can see the difference now. They've started, we've started. I see our guys out, so it's looking better. I'm hopeful that it'll go up, but whatever the metrics is, make sure that it's reflective of that. The other thing and last thing I'll say about it is cameras are a deterrent. And so if the sign is there that you're on video, whether it's a camera there or not, I mean, it seems to me that that's a low-hanging fruit issue that we can do and let them guess what a good day is about the cameras. And
Yes, sir. All of the signs that are being placed not only say that legal dumping is illegal, but it also has a picture of a camera and says this area is under surveillance.
Yeah.
Whether we have 1 or 100, the area is under surveillance.
Right. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, all right. So, council, I think we covered all of that. Look forward to.
We could ask the council to receive the report. That would be great.
Mayor,
Okay, and you want to do that motion, or you want to? But before, Councilmember Ingram mentioned something that I was going to pick up on my comments. It's budget time. What is the cost of if we wanted to add additional rounds of street sweeping, like we did litter pickup? Or do we have the capacity to do it, or would you have to have people work more hours, or what?
We will come back with that.
Okay.
But it is a mix of equipment and reliability of equipment and staffing. But Sheila and Tracy, you've got that? Yes, thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Councilmember, was yours a motion? Because I have.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll come back to you. Councilman Davis, you had your light on, sir? Okay, Councilman Wright, you had your light on?
Yes, I just wanted to ensure that with that one camera, that we're looking at making an investment to get more cameras, because I think it's going to work. I think it's definitely going to work, but I like the fact that you have signs out there saying the area is under surveillance, but with a camera, I think we definitely could curb that dumping around the city. So the investment in more cameras is what I'm interested in. Is that something that we're willing to do?
Yes, sir. That's on our goals to expand that program with that capability.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ingram.
thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that we receive the report.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilmember Ingram to receive the litter illegal dumping report. There's a second by Councilmember Wright. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Council, I'll look to you for your votes on this. Okay. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, do you have a vote on this item?
Green.
Great. All right. All right. Madam Clerk, that is Councilman Hare. Can you vote? All right. Thank you. Madam Clerk, that's unanimous. All right. Item 9.0 is the public forum. This is a time that Fayetteville residents may have input and a voice in what goes on in their city. Due to policy restrictions, the forum will not last longer than 30 minutes, and each speaker will be limited to only 3 minutes to address the city council issues related to the city of Fayetteville. Individuals wishing to speak at tonight's public forum should have signed up with the city clerk prior to the start of tonight's meeting. If you are here to speak on items that may be on tonight's agenda under the public hearing, we ask that you reserve your comments until the public hearing. So when your name is called or you acknowledge, we ask that you would please clearly state your name and home address for the record. You'll be notified that your time has began. You will be notified when you have 30 seconds remaining, and when the light is red, that means your time has expired. Again, due to policy restrictions, we're unable to extend the given time. With that being said, Madam Clerk, and before you call your first speaker, the audio team, I did get a message that the audio is kind of low by those who are observing at home, or I don't know if it's on the channel or our other method online, but if we can let them check the audio volumes. Madam Clerk, with that, please call your first speaker.
Yes, Mayor, we have 8 speakers signed up for this evening. Our first speaker is Ms. Maya Warren.
Ms. Warren, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, good evening. Please state your name and address.
My name is Maya Warren. My address is 969 Bassman Lane, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28314. I am calling to address the city council as a whole due to a very big issue that has gotten even bigger on the Cliffdale side of town where I currently reside. And it has become a big issue. Just this past week, I was unable to get into my apartment for about an hour at the most because there was approximately a 7-car pileup right in front of my apartment complex. I've called previously into city council meetings. However, it seems that my district representative, as well as the council as a whole, has not taken any further steps to help the traffic issue that we have on the Cliffdale side of town. I'm asking that you put up signs to let people know what the speed limit is. I'm really asking for residents like myself who live in an apartment complex, and everyone knows that Cliffdale is a very high apartment area, that we can get stop signs, we can get stop lights, so that way it can help the traffic flow. I'm coming from a very vulnerable place because I myself lost a loved one in a car accident. And I would hope and pray that none of you want to experience what I have to experience. So I'm asking you to help cut down on the amount of traffic accidents that you have on that Cliffdale area. My question to you is, how many people have to die? How many people have to lose their lives? Or how many people have to get injured for you all to stand up and say, this is an issue that we need to address? Like I said, I've called in before. I know others have called in, and I'm just asking for something to be done to help save citizens' lives. It's something that can and has impacted our community. Countless people are losing their lives, and I think that something needs to be done to help the traffic in that particular area. Like I said, I'm calling out my district rep, Mr. Larry Wright. Well, what needs to be done for things to get better in this area? What needs to get done for things to get better in this area? I asked again. All we're asking for is something to help the traffic in this area. How many phone calls do we have to make? How many times do we have to call into city council meetings for it to be done? I literally witnessed a car accident and could not even go into my apartment complex for almost an hour, simply because there's nothing in that area to help the traffic flow. Can you imagine the trigger that I felt knowing that just 6 months ago, I lost a loved one in a car accident? Can you imagine how I felt standing out there? You can't. But I tell you who did answer their phone. Miss Yvonne Kinston, when I called her to complain about this issue, she doesn't even control that district area. She was willing and more than able to help. So when will the rest of you stand up and say, let's help this area? Let's do what we can to help save lives. You've heard what I had to say several times. Now the ball is in your court, and I hope that you help do something to save lives in that area. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. Mr. Manager, you had your light on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As you may recall, at your last work session, both Councilmember Wright as well as Councilmember Kingston and others directed 2 separate items related to Cliffdale road safety, and staff is following up on that. Ms. Warren, I can also tell you as well that in the past, both several members of council, including Mayor Colvin, have actually written to the state. It is a state-maintained road, And so we are somewhat very limited in what we can do as it relates to traffic signals, stoplights on the road. But the city council did direct the staff at the last meeting, I think unanimously on the council member request from both of those items, for us to work with NCDOT to come back with a safety plan. One was very specific around the Woodstream apartments, and the other was more broad to deal with safety along the entire corridor. Again, not to take away from anything that you said, ma'am, but I do know that the council members, including Mr. Wright and Ms. Kinston and others, did bring that up, and the staff is working on that now.
Thank you, sir. All right, Madam Clerk, next speaker.
Yes, sir. Our next speaker is Mr. Michael Pinkston.
Mr. Pinkston, are you there?
He's not present. Our next speaker is Mr. Thomas Green.
Mr. Green, good evening. Are you there? Mr. Green? Mr. Green, can you hear us? Mr. Thomas Green, can you hear us? Mr. Green, are you there?
Is that Mrs. Green or Mr. Green?
They have Mr. Thomas Green. I'm not sure. Is it?
My name's Lakeisha Green.
No.
No, ma'am. What?
It's Mr. Thomas Green.
Yeah, Thomas Green. Miss Green. Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, I guess, is he on the line, Jennifer? I don't see him. Okay.
Okay.
Madam Clerk?
Okay, our next speaker is Miss Ann Schrader.
Ms. Schrader, are you there? Ms. Schrader? Ms. Schrader, are you there?
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear
Hello?
us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Please state
Okay,
your-
good evening. My name's Ann Schrader. I live in Stedman Street in Haymount. Good evening, Mayor Colvin and City Council members. I've been speaking at the monthly public forums on behalf of our environment and the many impacts affecting our community and planet. And although Cumberland County has prepared a climate resiliency plan and is involved in ongoing county improvements and solutions, climate preparedness focuses on the effects of climate change and not nearly enough on the causes. Fortunately, many more sustainable initiatives can be implemented through expanded community environmental awareness that includes a more expansive waste management example. Beyond the larger containers in ongoing residential recycling collection is the necessary inclusion of more than 19,250 Fayetteville area businesses and commercial entities currently not participating in regular waste management practices and collection. Just as Fayetteville homeowners are required to pay for waste management through property taxation, so should area business owners be required to pay for theirs through a similar taxation or ordinance. An integral component to awareness programs is what the community sees already in place. When businesses are also held accountable for proper waste reduction, reuse, and recycling policies, their employees are educated through daily practice of environmental friendly business policies and standards. Moreover, when citizens go downtown to shop, eat, and attend events or host a picnic at area parks, they would benefit from seeing and using recycling waste can options next to the many already in place trash cans. Currently, the city, public, and park trash cans are filled with mostly recyclable materials to include plastic drinking bottles, cardboard, paper, glass, and aluminum cans. Imagine the many sustainable community awareness and environmental impacts that will occur through the provision of citywide recycling options and requirements. And finally, community initiatives implemented in one area like waste reduction and recycling often inspire collateral awareness and behavioral changes in other areas, such as eco-friendly consumerism that includes reusable, biodegradable, and non-toxic products. And imagine the many eco-awareness opportunities possible for Fayetteville citizens when they enjoy a day downtown or at the new baseball stadium, where they can order food from environmentally friendly vendors whose packaging is biodegradable or recyclable, and where plenty of recycling waste
Thank
can
you.
options.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. We appreciate that. Sorry your time had expired. Madam Clerk, the next speaker.
Mayor, our next speaker is Mr. Kenneth Fox.
Mr. Fox, are you there?
He's not present.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Mr. Gerald McGeechee, Jr.
Mr. McGeechee, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Please state your name and address for us.
Gerald Damiano McGeechee Jr., 4044 William Bill Luther Drive, Houghton Mills, North Carolina, 28348. Greetings, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and department heads. In February of this year, I had the honor of being on Magic 106.9 FM to give a brief description of my volunteer work and academic achievements. When my father informed me that I was not the top winner, he said, "This is only a learning experience to make you better and learn to never give up." Thanks to Miss Kelly West of 106.9, I received a large UPS package at our family home. Upon opening it, I received gifts such as a shirt, a gift card, music CDs, and other items. However, one thing that stood out to me more than anything is this proclamation from Mayor Colvin. This great mayor that I had the honor of sitting on stage with during the 2020 MLK prayer breakfast as he sat and watched from the recited portion of Dr. King's final speech, "I've been to the mountaintop." Again, I'd like to humbly say thank you so much for this great esteemed recognition. This has also given me hope for the next generation as we move forward and realize that we as Christians should continue to do as King Solomon said in the book of Proverbs chapter 11, verse 12. "He that is void of wisdom despises his neighbor, but a man of understanding holdeth his peace and wisdom." God bless you all, and have a good remainder of your evening.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we really appreciate that. Keep doing great things, sir. Madam Clerk?
Mayor, our next speaker is Mr. Keith Flynn.
Mr. Flynn, are you there, sir?
He's not present.
Okay.
Our final speaker is Miss Lakeisha Britton.
Ms. Britton, are you there? No?
Not present. We have no further speakers, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move to the public hearing. Individuals desiring to speak at the public hearing must have signed up to speak with the city clerk by name and address before 7 p.m. this evening. 15 minutes will be allowed for each side of the issue at the public hearing. Individual speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each unless by previous arrangement a single spokesperson is designated, in which case the spokesperson may use the entire 15 minutes. When the city clerk calls your name or acknowledges you, please clearly state your name and address for the record. You may then begin to address the city council. When the light, you will be notified when you have 30 seconds remaining, and at the end of your allotted time, the timer will ring. With that, sir, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. So tonight, before you, we have a stormwater variance request for a commercial development located at 1005 Dunn Road. Okay, and so the purpose of this stormwater variance tonight is in the Stormwater Development Ordinance, Section 23-32C6. The ordinance requires a 75-foot buffer from all perennial and intermittent surface waters draining greater than 1 square mile. So this commercial development on Dunn Road, a portion of Locks Creek traverses through this site. So they're going to be seeking a variance to encroach into that buffer area. Currently, the site has about 0.28 acres of existing built-upon area within the buffer zone. Their proposed final development would increase this encroachment to around 0.98 acres. As I said earlier, the owner is requesting a variance, so the site may increase the amount of built-upon area encroaching within that 75-foot buffer zone. The encroachment is needed to facilitate the proposed development. And I'll stress, this is a buffer variance. This does not have anything to do with stormwater quantity detention. This buffer variance is very similar to one a prior council approved to facilitate the Freedom Town Center development. The next kind of illustration I have is a map of North Carolina with the different riparian buffer zones shown. All of the areas in dark blue, including the Cape Fear River Basin, have no state required buffer requirements. The 75-foot buffer restriction is a City of Fayetteville requirement itself. So granting of this variance would not contradict any state riparian buffer rules. Here's an aerial of the existing site. The existing site is almost approximately 17 acres. Currently there is a little over 6 acres of impervious surface, and as I stated earlier, about 3/10 of an acre is encroaching into that buffer area. The proposed development would have 10.84 acres of impervious with a little under an acre encroaching into that buffer zone. Just some photos of the site characteristics. The first photo to the left with the basketball goal, that's a photo of an existing encroachment in the buffer zone. The middle photo you'll see is a concrete flume, and while this does not encroach into the buffer zone, you'll see it drains the existing parking lot, and the existing parking lot drains through this concrete flume and discharges directly into the creek without any stormwater quality treatment. And the final photo on the right is the existing stormwater basin that is on site. As you can tell from the picture with the mature pines and invasive unwanted vegetation, this stormwater pond has not been properly maintained over its lifetime. So just a kind of zoomed out aerial location, because this site does discharge into a portion of Locks Creek, we just wanted to show it in relation to the Cedar Falls subdivision, which has frequently flooded through storm events. As you can see from this aerial, it is quite a ways away. And in this photo, you'll see where I have Dunn Road annotated, the Cedar Falls subdivision shown, and then that blue pin on the Cape Fear River is the discharge point. So everything discharging to that blue pin is shaded in yellow. So as you can see, none of the drainage area from the Dunn Road site affects the Cedar Falls subdivision. So no development on Dunn Road will affect the Cedar Falls subdivision. It's two different subbasins located on different named Locks Creek. So kind of an existing and proposed plan view. On the left, you'll see the existing conditions. On the right is the proposed. On the left, you'll see the red delineated line. That is the 75-foot buffer zone. In gray are some of the areas that are encroaching currently. The blue line is the approximate location of the stream. If you look at the site on the right, you will see the proposed development that is encroaching into the buffer zone is part of an expansion of the parking facilities needed for the proposed development. So that is all that is going into this buffer area is parking lot. So when we look at some of the proposed site improvements, as I mentioned earlier, the existing basin has not been maintained. That existing basin was built before the city stormwater ordinance came into effect. It was built after '98, but before 2003, so sometime in that time period. As part of this development, as part of this proposed development, that basin would actually be rehabbed, and it'll actually serve as the site's stormwater control measure. So that existing basin will be improved. The proposed SCM that the developer is proposing will also exceed the requirements of the stormwater ordinance by detaining the 100-year storm event versus the required 10-year storm event. So they're going above and beyond on the stormwater detention for the site. And also as part of our development ordinance, the developer will also record an operation and maintenance agreement to ensure that perpetual maintenance of that stormwater control measure on site so it doesn't return to the current state of that basin. So some of the steps taken by city staff, we met with the owner's engineer to review the project and the variance requests. We conducted site visits to the subject property. We mailed variance notice of petitions to every property owner within 500 feet. We also submitted a public hearing to the Fayetteville Observer, and the notice of variance sign was also placed at the subject property. So staff's recommendation for this variance request is to approve the variance request that would allow the site to increase the amount of built-upon area within that buffer zone. If the variance request were to be denied, the proposed development would have to meet that 75-foot buffer zone, and that would significantly hinder the owner's ability to pursue this development plan. And with that, I'll take any questions.
All right, we will get questions at the end of the public hearing, so don't go too far. So with that, we'll open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, call your first speaker.
Yes, Mayor, we have 3 speakers for this item. Our first speaker is Mr. Robert Van Geens.
Who was that? Please state your name, sir.
Good evening. Robert Van Geens, 411 Forest Lake Road, 201 Hay Street, or wherever you would like me to be when you tell me to be there. In all seriousness, a Fortune 100 company is looking to establish a logistics and distribution facility here in Fayetteville. The project would directly and indirectly support 100 full-time and 100 part-time jobs, and the direct jobs start at $15 an hour. The company would invest over $10 million in improvements. As staff presented, our local buffer exceeds the state requirement, and the company's site plan is not feasible without the requested variance. But recognizing the city's focus on stormwater management, the company has proactively submitted a plan that would actually increase retention capacity well above what is required by our ordinance. In a past life, I served as a wetlands planner, and I would just like to say that your staff has done an admirable job working with the applicant to develop a true win-win scenario, improving the existing conditions while allowing for job creation. I respectfully ask that you support their recommendation. And importantly, I think this request also allows for the efficient utilization of an existing building and site. To be frank, your inventory of industrial product has fallen incredibly low, and so we need to maximize every available opportunity that is reasonable while also protecting public health and safety in order to deliver to you and the citizens the economic development results you desire. I thank you for considering this request, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Van Geens.
And 1:30 left. I was, kept it short.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Our next speaker is Miss Maggie Houston.
You said Maggie
Houston.
Houston. Hi, Ms. Houston.
Hi, Council. Maggie Houston. I'm at 200 South Tryon Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm the engineer for the applicant on this project. So we have been working with staff closely on this. And I think they did a great presentation and hopefully answered most of your questions, but just wanted to reiterate from a design perspective that we are very constrained given an existing building, an existing stream with the remaining property that is there. And the client is looking to substantially rehabilitate this site from what is there today. And so from the state's perspective, there are no water quality issues, and that's what that buffer is intended to do. But being in a floodplain, we understand that the water quantity and retaining that water is more likely an issue in this area. So our client is willing to go above and beyond, as he said, from detaining the 10-year storm that the city requires to detaining the 100-year storm and upfitting that BMP to both treat and detain that stormwater. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer, but we're excited to rehabilitate the site and feel that we are not negatively impacting from a stormwater perspective.
Thank you, ma'am. As I stated before, we'll take questions at the end of the public hearing. And Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Our final speaker is Mr. Scott Reynolds. He's not available. That's it, sir. We have no further speakers.
All right. Councilmember Ingram.
Oh, is that a question or, oh, I know what you got. All right, any questions, before we close the public hearing? Councilman Dawkins?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Van Giens, is this going to be a purchase or it's a lease? I wanted to understand
I would say, sir, the application is by the building owner, and they will be maintaining the property. The tenant it would be a tenant situation. But
Okay.
the applicant is the owner of the building, and they will continue to own the building, is my
the applicant is the owner of the building.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. All right, with that, I don't see any other questions. With that, I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If it pleases the council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the buffer variance.
All right, there's a motion to approve the presented item. There's a second by Mayor Pro Tem Jensen. Any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, you had discussion on the motion?
Disregard.
Okay. All right. Beg your pardon? All right, Council, I'll look to you. You had discussion? Yes. Okay.
The lady from Charlotte, I appreciate you discussing the stormwater piece. It's a big deal to the city of Fayetteville. And I want to notice that Mr. Van Giens also complimented us and our city on our stormwater control measures. And Mr. Mayor, I want to make sure our public knows that our stormwater committee is made up of half of our council, which is Council Lady Waddell, Councilmember Wright, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, Councilmember Davis, and myself. And I thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your focus on stormwater control measures. This is a big deal. We have over 200 million right now that we know about in stormwater control measure needs. So when we have an applicant like this to go ahead and say, look, we're not going to worry about a 10-year storm, we're going to build for a 100-year storm. We need folks like this coming to our city, and I hope that they expand and we find them other places that they could expand to. Maybe not in the city of Fayetteville, but maybe even in the county of Cumberland.
Johnny.
Well,
you okay?
when one day maybe we'll get annexation authority, and we'll be able to annex those areas. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. So thank you, sir. All right, Council. We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. I'll look to you for your votes. Councilmember Ingram, you have to vote again. I had to clear the board. All right, Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
Green.
All right, Madam Clerk, that is unanimous. Motion carries. Good luck to you. Item 11.01. Continuation of the PwC appointment. Council, looking back at the process of tonight, as we go over it, kind of similar to the last process. I guess the motion that had the clerk pull was consistent that the applications would come back or tabled for further action. So kind of similar to what we did. I'll read the names. Those who are in support of the candidates will vote for that particular candidate. We have the clerk and the deputy clerk that'll tally, and then we'll move from there. Top vote getter. In the event there's a tie, then we will move to the next round of that. So all greens to indicate the client you support when their name is called. Any questions, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir, there is. And I apologize because the last time I saw this done was when we were replacing a council member. So this has kind of taken me by surprise. So we're not opening nominations up on the floor.
Always had the option to do that, yeah. You wanted to do that?
Yeah.
You said other than the 10?
No, my question is, I didn't realize that this is how this was going to be done. Are we just going down the line and voting who we want?
Well, I think the motion was, once the clerk sent all 10 applicants.
Right.
It was tabled that the appointment would take place at the 22nd meeting, I believe. And it didn't, for whatever reason. So now we're at tonight's meeting. These are the 10 applicants. So I was just going to call by name and let you vote for whoever.
Okay, and I think that's not, I don't think the only time we've ever done that was when we were in the situation when it was a council member, so this is kind of different to me.
We did it at the last PWC appointment.
Is that how we did it, city manager? We just called out the name?
We read them off. Yeah. Yeah,
That's how we just read them off and we just voted?
yes, ma'am. We went one by one on the last meeting when we had the misunderstandings.
Okay, all right. I was prepared to make a nomination, but is that
No,
not-
you can
okay.
still do that if you want to
Okay,
nominate
so
someone.
as, I would like,
You talking about someone other than this list?
no, I'd like to make a nomination with somebody on the list. But you
Well,
just want to go ahead and,
Yeah, because if not, then everybody will just do individually. But your person, if they're on the list, then when you read their name, you'll be able to vote for them. What's the
so
difference?
is the whole council understanding this? Okay. So do we need to vote on the process of how we do it?
No, I'm chairing the meeting, and this is the process we're going to use tonight. I mean, but if you have
Oh,
tell me what your concern is, and I'll try to address that.
Well, my concern is we have 4 new members, and this is the first that I'm hearing that we're doing it this way, and I don't know if the 4 new members are,
This was, we don't, the 4 new members in the appointments of PWC who serve 4-year terms, 8-year if they're renewed. I mean, it is likely this is the first PWC appointment. I do appreciate that. But I guess my concern is, what's the difference between you nominating your person and me reading their name and you voting for your person?
so you have 10 names. If everybody votes for one person, we're still at, the way I'm understanding it, because it hasn't been explained, so maybe you can explain it a little bit. I don't want to get in a
Well, I think this
brawl
was
here
the
about this.
simplest way to do it. I think that the last time we had it, we read individual names and people voted for those people. Okay, you don't recall that?
I don't, and I apologize. I don't recall that, but
right.
I will go back and
So
and
here's
look
the
at that date.
process. It's a list of names that was sent by the clerk, okay? If someone that you want is not on this list, you can always nominate from the floor. That is, we've done that before. Yes, you have. Madam Attorney, please. That has happened before, ladies, particularly the doing ones. Nominations from the floor are acceptable if you have someone. I'm hypothetically saying that. Madam Attorney, can you clarify how nominations from the floor work?
Mr. Mayor, I think the ladies are correct in that typically that does not happen. However, with your PWC appointments, you have in the past taken nominations from the floor.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure if that answered the question.
Well, the question is that nominations from the floor are allowed. They've been done before. If that is the case, I haven't heard that anyone wants to nominate anybody. What I was simply saying is that we have a list of names. You read the names, you vote for your person or persons, okay? And the top vote getter gets it. That's how the process is. It was done that way before. It's simple. You all have taken several votes, so I just need to understand what the concerns are. So I have some questions. Councilmember Kinston, Ingram, Waddell, and Dawkins.
Yes, Mayor. One of the things that I do want to mention is in our last meeting, one of the things that I did make sure that I made note of is that that there was no other applicants' names that were submitted besides the ones that we were actually given to review. That was actually one of the comments that I made in the first appointment, that there was, to make sure that there was no other applicants that were not actually vetted or already done to be taken from the floor, because we didn't have the opportunity to review their resume. The second thing I want to mention is there was a list of 10 applicants originally given us. We then narrowed it down to 8 because 2 of the applicants were already appointed on March 8th, one to the Stormwater and the other one to the airport committee, which we have already voted and put them in place.
Right. Well, Madam Attorney,
And,
what's the?
I'm sorry, and
Okay.
to my understanding, we have not gotten a decline or an email from either one of the applications stating that they did not want to serve.
Right.
In
Well,
that period of time.
Well, so on March the 8th, there were a list of 10, and then tonight's CAM has a list of 8, with the 2 names separated. So it's still a list of 10. It just shows it. Even on this list was what the clerk sent, and the comparison list that you're referring to has the same names, but it has the 2 names separated, which is attached to the CAM. So it's still 10 people.
Okay, Mayor, so if you can clarify, it's
Yeah,
still 10
so Madam
people.
Attorney, if.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Well, I think you asked your question. I was going to ask the attorney for how to clarify that. So a person can't serve on 2 boards. So if a person is chosen or not, but if a person happens to be chosen for 2 boards, he can't serve on 2, he or she can't serve on 2 boards, correct?
You do have some boards, I think that within the last couple months, the council, because they meet infrequently, said that people could serve on 2 boards. I'm not sure which 2 people we're talking about and what board they were appointed to, but conceivably, if one of those people were to be nominated and approved, then they would have to decline serving on the other board.
Okay, so is it still my turn? And do I
Yes,
still have
ma'am.
the floor? So at this point, on the night that we did the appointment, we did appoint 2 people already on boards that was originally applicants for PWC. Because we already appointed them and voted on them, because that's not one of the boards that was pulled, these applicants are already on place actively on those boards. If they were still wanting to be considered for PWC, we have not received a letter or an email or anything saying I declined to be on the board that I was approved for. So therefore, that puts us back at 8.
Well, 10 were submitted, 10 are still attached to your CAM. It noted that that 2 of the 10 also were selected for 2 other boards. There's nothing in the rules that say they were disqualified unless they're serving on both of them. So she just clarified that they're not able to do that. If that becomes an issue, then they would have to make a decision as to what they would do. The 10 names that she sent all applied for PWC. So I'm not understanding that. This was sent on the 8th. The action that you described was on the 8th. It's all on the 8th. And all 10 names are still on both CAMs, so I'm not understanding.
Okay, so if we've already voted on the other boards and commissions, and we've already placed people on those boards or commission, are we now then undoing if those boards are pulled? And the reason why I ask that, because on certain boards, it does require certain skill sets. And so those boards were done by the appointment committee with skill sets.
Well, I think you should use whatever skill sets and acumen that people have for making any decision on any board. But the 10 applicants answered questions pertaining to PWC, and the applications are attached. So if they don't meet the criteria of skill sets, then don't vote for them, is what I would recommend. All right, Councilmember Ingram?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam Attorney, let me ask Mayor Pro Tem Jensen for clarity before I ask you this. Mayor Pro Tem Jensen, were you preparing to make a nomination? So in our last meeting, whenever the PWC item came up, I made a nomination for someone, but we didn't go through a list of people. A nomination was made, and I was able to do that, and we voted. So I kind of got lost in the process tonight because I'm hearing a bit 2 different things, but I'm also rethinking about what happened, what I was able to do in our last meeting where the PWC item came up. So just for clarity, if I was able to make a motion and us vote on it by a straight nomination, not going down any list, was that what you were about to do, Mayor Pro Tem Jensen?
Yes, I was trying to make a motion.
So let me make sure I'm clear. The first question was, you never heard of nominations from the floor, which is what you did the last time. They were not the two people who were recommended by the committee, so you made a nomination on the floor for someone else, but it didn't
But
pass.
it was a part of it came from the
Out of the
application.
10 applicants, right?
But what I'm saying is, we didn't have to read any names.
This is the process. Ladies, we're saying the same thing, okay? You made nominations from the floor, and now you don't remember making nominations from the floor. You're saying that you nominated a person that was one of the 10. Now you're saying that the 10 number needs to be changed, even though all 10 names were submitted twice.
Mayor Colvin, you're saying ladies. I'm asking a whole separate question here. I'm asking, based off of what the motion I made, trying to understand the process Mayor Pro Tem is asking, because it sounds like the same thing I did some meetings ago when I made the motion to nominate somebody, and now we're saying we cannot do that, but I just did it. So I'm confused in the process. Madam Attorney, can you clarify?
Let me clarify, because I'm chairing the meeting. The same process that was used the last time to hear those two, and if you didn't like those two, you nominated someone else, which was former council member, and it didn't pass. I'm saying the same applies tonight, that you still have the option to nominate who you would like from the floor in the event that they're not one of the 10 people or they are one of the 10 people.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madam Attorney, can you please clarify
Unfortunately.
what I asked?
Yes, ma'am. I understood your question, but I don't have the answer. The mayor has said that this is the process.
These are the rules for tonight. So I'll acknowledge Councilmember Waddell, Dawkins, Banks, McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank you each in advance that I will have the floor and not be interrupted as I speak. When we had our last appointments meeting, Ms. McGill, the subject of people being able to decide which board to turn down and which board to be seated on was a subject that we discussed. I believe that Councilman Dawkins, who is a part of the committee, Mayor Pro Tem Jensen, who was a part of the committee, Councilmember Kinston, and myself, because we were present, can all attest to the fact that I specifically asked the question, are we giving the opportunity for people to decline? Because I made the statement, I said somebody may be appointed to a board at one particular point in time. It may be their third choice. But if their first choice comes along and they're appointed to that, are we giving them the opportunity to be able to turn down whatever they're seated on in order to be seated on another board? That is the first part of my question. Can you and the city attorney, because both of you are present, please confirm that dialogue? Thank you.
Yes.
So the response to that was, out of the committee and from all of the advisors who were in the room, was that once somebody is seated, once they are selected for a board, they are there unless they submit a resignation. So that is where Councilmember Kinston's question is coming from as a point of clarification for those around the dais. Additionally, this council did take action, official action, to indicate that certain boards and commissions were not permitted to have members serve on more than one at a time. So we are specifically speaking of the 10, Tadino Hondros, who is currently on the Stormwater Board, and Nanesh Mehta, who is currently on the Airport Commission. The parameters that this council, and again, I think that several of us, Mayor Pro Tem included, advocated for people to be able to sit on more than one board without parameters. However, the council overrode our position, and I believe that Mayor Colvin was one of the ones that overrode that position and indicated that that should not be the case because we have a plethora of people in the community who wish to serve on these boards and should be given an opportunity. So the council took action and decided that there were only certain boards that were permitted to have members serve on more than one board. Neither of these are applicable to that. So based upon that directive and the conversations that have gone forward, that invalidates those two particular individuals from being able to be seated on another board at this time, unless they submit a resignation to the board that they're currently seated on. That is the policy that this council agreed upon. So, Ms. McGill, as you are the one who puts together our packages, I think that only you can speak to why all 10 names are included, because that seems to be the variance. Now, I'm not going to get into a debate about what order we should do it in. I do not, for the record, I do not agree with the position that is being taken that we need to go down the list and vote on them all. I'm not amenable to that, and I support you, Mayor Pro Tem, in your desire to make a motion and vote upon it. However, I would like to understand, based upon that information, why you've included all 10 names, seeing as though that is a sticking point for the mayor, and we do need clarification and to understand that. After you answer that, I would like to submit to this council that based upon our rules, there are 8 candidates for our consideration this evening. And if someone would wish to see any of the 2 candidates who are currently seated on a board be considered, then this would need to be tabled again. You would need to reach out to them. You would need to ask them to submit a resignation to the boards that they're currently serving on in order to be in compliance with the council's policy. So, Ms. McGill, I yield the floor, and then I'm prepared to be finished with my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Waddell. I will go to Ms. McGill, but you included my name in a
But
couple of...
Mr. Mayor, as a
Well,
point of
I
order,
understand,
no,
but-
sir, as a point of order,
No, ma'am, you have
you
to
are
vote on
chairing
the
the
point of
meeting,
order.
but our Robert's
You
Rules
have
of
to
Orders
vote on
do
the
not...
point of order. Would you like to make a motion to vote on that?
Robert's Rules of Order do not permit you to debate and rebut every comment that is made.
No, ma'am,
You have to
but
follow
you've
the
yielded
same
the
process
floor.
as the
You've
rest of
yielded
us.
the floor.
You have to
I
follow
agree.
the same process as the
And
rest
so
of us,
do you,
sir.
ma'am.
That is why
So-
you need to yield
So
until
your
it is
time has
your
been
turn.
rendered.
You need to
If you
yield
have a point of
until it
order
is your
vote,
turn, sir.
please ask for a motion
Ms.
and a second.
McDonald, at this point...
Can you clarify the order of
This,
that?
this meeting is not in order because the mayor is not adhering to Robert's Rules of Order. And I am asking that the chair of this meeting comply with Robert's Rules of Order. He has to take a
Councilmember
turn
Waddell,
like the rest
if
of
you
this.
would make your point about this, you can, but you don't have the floor to give to Ms. McGill. So once you yield your time, it comes back to the chair, and then I will
McGill a
acknowledge that.
question. I asked our staff member a question to which she is permitted to answer.
No,
At
you
that
said I
point,
yield the floor to
she is-
Ms. McGill.
Ms. McGill, I am asking you a question, and I am asking you to answer my question. And Mr. Mayor, I am asking you to submit yourself to Robert's Rules
Well,
of Orders
I absolutely
and
will,
comply
and I
with
would
Robert's
ask
Rules
for
of
you to it
Orders.
as well. So you may need to brush up on it. But Ms. McGill, would you please clarify that? But since you brought that in, you made a lot of statements that were not true. Please.
Yes. I listed all 10 applicants because those were the original 10, or the only 10 applicants that we had for PwC. And you were quite correct that of those 10, 2 were appointed on March 8th. Mr. Dino Honduras to the Stormwater and Neisha Mata to the Airport Commission. Since you made those appointments, Mr. Honduras has taken his oath of office for his next term on the Stormwater Advisory Board.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. McGill.
And Madam, thank you, Council Member. And Madam Attorney, I do understand that the council's rule was that you couldn't serve on 2 boards. Didn't mean you couldn't be nominated, and you clarified that a person would have to make a decision whether they were going to serve on which one of these boards they would do if they were nominated, correct? Can you clarify that part of it?
Mr. Mayor, I understood your question to be if a person, Mr. Mehta has been, as the clerk has stated, Mr. Hondros and Mr. Mehta were appointed to the Stormwater Advisory Board and the Airport Commission respectively. Should tonight the council, a majority of council decide that they want to appoint one of those gentlemen, then they would have to resign from the Stormwater or the Airport Commission respectively.
Right. Has both taken their oath of office, ma'am?
I'm only aware of Mr. Honduras taking his.
Okay, all right. All right.
But we
Councilman
haven't
Dawkins.
received any decline of office.
Okay. Councilman Dawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, council, for delaying this vote while I was out of town. I wanted to express my thanks to the entire council. Number 2, I need to understand, once we begin this voting process, Mr. Mayor, I'm assuming that if none of the nominees or applicants gets a majority of, say, I would think 6, then the top 2 vote getters would then be voted on in a second round. Is that is that true or not true?
No, sir, it wasn't like a majority of the board. The process we used before was, let's say, John Doe's name, starting at the top, was called, and he would get 3 votes. Jane Doe would get 4 votes, and so forth, is the process that was used the last time. And that was brought to my remembrance by Councilmember Moan, and I think all of you were copied on that email. But
All right, so then is your answer then whoever gets the highest number of votes on this list of 10 will be the person chosen?
correct, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if there's a tie, then there would be a vote between those. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Banks McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Garrett Rona for the PWC Commission Board.
Okay, Councilmember Banks, that's contrary to the order. We were allowing discussion or questions under the premise of questions. You had other council members that wanted to do on the floor nominations, but you certainly can make your pick once we start to review the applicants. But that was established
I
several moments ago.
I thought in the beginning you mentioned that we can appoint someone for that position, and that's why I just made my motion.
You can nominate from the floor in the event that you had someone specific other than the 10 people that we were naming, and then discussion ensued, from my understanding. So, Madam Attorney,
I just second
Madam,
that.
hold on one second, Madam Attorney.
So, Mayor, you do have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yeah. All right. So we'll need to act on that. So we have a motion by Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, and there's a second by Councilmember Ingram. Can you repeat your motion, ma'am?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Garrett Rona for the PWC Commission.
All right, you have to do it during the discussion. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All right, discussion. Council, press your lights again for discussion. I had to clear the board if you had that. Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had my name in for comment prior to the motion, and is it in order for me to make that discussion? And what I understand the attorney said was that the 2 names that was selected by the selection committee, they would have to put in a resignation if they had a majority vote tonight, if they choose to. My question would be, if that person that was nominated choose to stay on the board that they were assigned to, then would we as a council go back and re-vote, or the next person with the higher votes automatically become the chosen one?
Councilmember Wright, I think that would be up to the council at this point. The mayor has made it clear that he's chairing the meeting.
Absolutely.
And so that would be up to the council.
What was the question that you presented?
Yeah, so my question is, if the mayor is chairing the meeting and the mayor is directing us how he wants to proceed with the voting process, other council members are making nominations over what the mayor has designed for the process to be, how does that work?
Well, at this point, you are right. However, once you have a motion and a second on the floor, then you have to dispose of that motion.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Kinston. Okay. All right. So, any other comments, questions on that motion? So, council, I'll say this. Attempted to try to carry our conversations to where whatever we agree or disagree on, it's a matter of process. So to be completely honest with you, when the names were sent on the 8th.
Mr. Mayor, point of
ma'am,
order,
it's
there's a
discussion
motion.
phase and I have the floor.
Is it-
Yes, it's
is it
germane to this
vote?
motion,
Okay.
absolutely. And Councilmember Waddell, you're out of order. You just
I'm not
talked
out
to
of
me
order
about
to
the
call a
parliamentary
point of order
procedure.
to call for the vote. That's not out of
Well,
order,
I
sir.
understand, but we're in discussion phase.
Okay, and you
All right,
clarified
all
that.
right. So, when the applications were received on the 8th, when all 10 were sent, nominations were made on the 8th to appoint someone to a board that was not applied for. And I was given false information that there were 2 applications, and on that first application, that the person could put what the alternative boards were. And one of these applicants was disqualified and removed from PwC contention after they've filled out 20 questions pertaining to their skill set and put on a board that they didn't ask to be on, who just basically said that they had formerly chaired that board. And so all of this is public record. The motion's on the floor. We'll vote on it. And these applications are able, this whole process was here because the appointments committee didn't follow the process.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. So those are my comments. So, Mayor Pro Tem Jensen.
Did he just throw off on us?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not going to belabor this.
Got a motion?
The motion is on the floor, yes, it is, and this, when you sit here and say that the appointments committee did not go by the rules, did not go by the policy,
I didn't say either one of those 2 things. I said process.
you are insinuating we did not go through the process. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this, because every time we get a PwC applicant that you do not agree with, there ends up a fight with the boards and commissions. We can go back 6 years with Bobby Hurst sitting here doing the exact same thing. I honestly don't remember us doing the process that you want us to do for PwC. Now, the applicant that I feel that the gentlemen are wanting to vote on, in our book, it showed that he wanted to be on that other committee. There are 2 different applications, Mr. Mayor, for PwC and other boards and commissions. We had over 900 pages to go through. There was 4 people at that meeting. We have 5 people on our board. 1 was absent. So we came here with nominations, and we worked very hard. I do not understand. Now, you're chairing the meeting, and you have decided that this is the way we're going to do it. And I just don't understand how that policy comes. I've been sitting in this chair as long as you have, and I have not seen it come this way, especially with everybody not knowing the way you were going to chair this meeting and we were going to pick. But there is a nomination on the floor, so I'm going to stop talking and just call for the vote.
All right. The 2015 link that was placed online at the last PwC appointment that you referenced took the same process, and Nat Robinson was the mayor. So
Mr.
I didn't
Mayor,
make it
as
up.
a point of
So
order,
that's the precedence for it.
The vote has been called for twice
Sure.
now.
All right. I'm ready for it. All right. Council, look to you for action on this. Oh, yeah. So Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, can you repeat that?
I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Garrett Rona for the PwC Commission Board.
All right. All right. Council, look to you for votes. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin, Councilmember Hare.
Green.
Need your vote, sir. No. No, she's put a motion on the floor. That was the process proposed, but there's a motion on the floor. All right. Councilmember Banks McLaughlin?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
Green.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, that motion is 6-4. Those voting in favor, Councilman Dawkins, Banks, Jensen, Ingram, Kinston, Waddell. Those voting opposed, Davis, Wright, Colvin, Hare. Motion carries. All right, item.
Good job.
All right, Council, look to for.
No, we haven't.
Oh, item 11.02. Councilman Davis.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. If it would please the council, I'd like first to request that we suspend the rules.
It's just modify the policy, I think is what you want to do. So basically, Madam Attorney, what is it?
It would be to,
Exclusion of policy, what's the proper terminology, Ms.?
Make an exception?
no, I think you just should make your motion. Just
Okay.
make your motion, whatever
Madam
your
Attorney, I
pleasure
make the
is.
motion that we name Senior Center West after Mr. William Joseph Leon Crisp.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor by Councilmember Davis, and second by Councilmember Ingram. Any discussion on the motion? All right, Council, look to you for your votes. Councilmember Banks?
Green.
All right, motion carries. All right, Council, look to you for a motion to adjourn. All right, have a good night.